Myself, Nandini Patil. I am going to give us information about the embedded system. We'll start with the first module, Introduction to Embedded System. Before going to the embedded system, first we'll see the what is system. System is a way of working, organizing or performing one or many tasks according to a fixed set of rules, programs or a plan. Working with some rules or a program or a plan is a system. Also an arrangement in which all units assemble and work together according to a program or a plan is a system. Example of the system is time display system, the watch, that is a system. It will be work according to some set of rules. Automatic cloth washing machine, that is one machine. It will be working according to some set of rules. That is the example of the system. Now we will discuss about the what is embedded system. Embedded system is a system, one that has a dedicated purpose software embedded in a computer hardware. This is according to the Raj Kamal. The author I referred is a Raj Kamal. Embedded system is a system that has a dedicated purpose software embedded into a computer hardware. Here computer hardware is nothing but a microprocessor or a microcontroller and some peripheral devices. Whatever the devices are there, they are going to be working according to the some set of softwares, and it is going to do some specific task. Then only it is called as an embedded system. Take an example, ATM machine. It is going to give the money. That is used for only the account transactions. And micro oven, it is only used for heating the food and preparing the food. Washing machine, it is used for only washing the clothes. See, it has to be do a specific task, then only the system is called as an embedded system. It should have the software as well as a computer hardware. Then the system is called as an embedded system. See, another one definition is there. An embedded system is a system that has a software embedded into a computer hardware, which makes a system dedicated for an application or a specific part of an application or a product or a part of a large system. See, whenever the computer hardware comes, then computer hardware means microprocessor or a microcontroller. See, the system, the computer hardware should have the software as well as it has to be dedicated for a application or a part of an application or a product or a part of a large system. Then the system is called as an embedded system. See, many authors have defined this embedded system according to their own ways. We'll see some of the main important authors. See, Wayne Wolf, what he has defined. It is any device that includes a programmable computer but is not itself intended to be a general purpose computer. You cannot use this system as a general purpose. See, the computer is there, that is a general purpose system. You can use for any purpose. That computer is not an embedded system because it is not used for specific purpose. So the computer is not an embedded system. The embedded system is any computer system hidden in any of these products. Any of these products means that products, that micro one, computers, this one. That is called as an embedded system according to the David E. Simon. Next, according to the Morton, what he is going to tell? Embedded systems are the electronic systems that contain a microprocessor or a microcontroller, but we do not think them as an computers. The computer is hidden embedded in the system. That is a embedded system according to this T.D. Morton. See, all of you got to know that what is embedded system. Embedded system is nothing but it is a system that is going to have the embedded software and computer hardware, and that whatever the system we are going to develop, that will be dedicated for an application or a part of a application or a system or a part of a large system is an embedded system. See, next another one author is there, William Stuss. He is going to tell that embedded system is a system whose principal function is not a computational one, but which is controlled by a computer embedded within it. The computer is likely to be a microprocessor or a microcontroller. Next, another one definition he has given, that is an embedded system is a microcontroller based, software driven, reliable, real time control system, autonomous or a human or network interactive, operating on diverse physical variables and in diverse environments and sold into a competitive and cost conscious market. This is called as an embedded system. See, all are related to one another, all are same only. Next, we will discuss what is the computer system and what is the embedded system. We will see the differences. First, we will see the what is computer system. That is the general computing system. It is going to have the following components. Microprocessor, it is going to have a large memory will be there. In the large memory, it is going to contain the two types of the memory. One is a primary memory, another one secondary memory. Here, in the primary memory, semiconductors are there, semiconductor memories are there, RAM, ROM, flash memory are fast accessible cache memory. Here, secondary memories, magnetic memories, hard disk, diskettes, cartridge tapes, optical memory in CD-ROM or a memory, micro cards or a card sticks, whatever the memory cards you are going to use in the mobiles, cameras, those things, all are going to be a secondary memories. Got to know the components are microprocessor, large memory. In that memory, two types, primary memory and the secondary memory. Next, it is going to contain the operating system. Operating system, it is going to have the functionality which is going to make all the components work together, coordinately work together. That is an operating system. I/O, input output units such as a touch screen, modem, faxcom modems, these are the inputs. Input, only the input units, keyboard, mouse, digitizer, scanner. Output units like LCD screen, video monitor, printers. Networking units, Ethernet cards, front-end processor-based server, bus drivers, general purpose user interfaces and application softwares mostly used in the secondary memory. These all the components will be there in the normal system. Now we'll see in the embedded system. What are the important components will be there in the embedded system? Here in this embedded system, three main components are there. Embedded hardware to give the computer-like functionalities. We are going to have the embedded hardwares. Whatever the hardwares are required, microprocessor, microcontroller, input devices, output devices, whatever the hardware components are required for this embedded system, we are going to add that one. And embeds the main application software generally into a flash or a ROM. And the application software performs concurrently the number of tasks. These things will be there. Here, the application software will be there that is used for the application, what the application you want to execute. Next, it is going to embed the real-time operating system which supervises the application to software tasks running on the hardware and organizes the access to system resources according to the priorities and timing constraints of the tasks in the system. The three main components are there. One is the hardware, one is the application software and the RTOS, real-time operating system. These are the main components. And the RTOS, the embedded system RTOS, it is going to enable the execution of concurrent processes or threads or tasks, provides a mechanism to let the processor run each process as per scheduling and to context switching between the various processes. RTOS sets the rules during execution of application processes to enable finishing of a processes within the assigned time interval and with a assigned priority. See, RTOS is going to help to execute all the processes which are in the application software. It is going to execute concurrent processes, threads, tasks, and it is going to work and do the scheduling, context switching. What is scheduling? Scheduling is allocating the processes to the processor. Context switching means from one process to another process. Switching of the processor from one process to another process. It is a context switching. This all the task is going to be done by the RTOS. Next, we'll see the diagram. What all the hardware units will be there in the embedded system. First one is the input output. What all the input devices will be there? Here, the input devices interfacing the device drivers. For the drivers, circuits are necessary for connecting the inputs to the system. See, whenever you want to connect a mobile phone to the laptop, first, previously, what you are going to do? You are going to install the software which is necessary to connect the mobile to the laptop. Same way, if you want to connect any device to the system, then you have to install the drivers. So, the drivers are very important. Next, processor. The processor is a main important hardware component of any system. Next, timer. It is used for the timing requirements because based on the time the processor is going to be running. Interrupt controller. It is going to control the execution of the task. If any task stuck for the longer time, then the interrupt handler is going to handle those things. Next, program memory and the data memory. Program memory and the data memory. For the program, the separate memory will be there. For the data, separate memory we are going to use. Here, for the program, we are going to use the ROM memory, and the data memory, we are going to use the flash memory or the RAM memory. Here, serial communication ports for communicating to the other devices, we are going to use these things. Parallel ports will be there. Next, output interfacing device drivers. These are the necessary things. Power supply reset on the oscillator circuits to give the power and to provide the resets. We are going to discuss all these things next one by one. The system application specific circuits. These are all the important components of the embedded system hardware. Next, sophisticated embedded system characteristics we'll see. The program is preloaded and embedded in the ROM or a flash memory. That is a main important character. The program will be reloaded or embedded into the ROM or a flash memory. The system is going to function in a real time. Whatever the system will be there, it will be working in a real time. See, whenever you will go to the ATM, if it is taking too much time, if any error happens within that system, if it is taking too much time, no one will go for the ATMs. Everyone will move to the bank only. Why they are going to go to the ATM instead of bank? To save the time. So, it has to work. Whatever the embedded system is there, it has to work within a time. That is the main characteristics. Dedicated functions. It has to do only the dedicated function. It should not do any other function. What is assigned, it has to do that work. Dedicated complex algorithm. Many complex algorithms are there because of the constraints of the embedded system. Dedicated GUI and other user interfaces for the applications. Here only the whatever the interfaces will be there, that will be dedicated for a particular application. If you are taking the mobile, for the mobile, what all the GUI is necessary, only that is added. If it is a micro one, what all the things are GUI is necessary, only that things will be added. Any extra things should not be added. That is important. On dedicated things will be there here. Dedicated function it is going to do, dedicated complex algorithms, dedicated GUI will be there, and the system is going to be work in a real time, and whatever the program is there, that is going to be preloaded into the ROM. It is called as a ROM image. We'll discuss that one. Real-time operations defines the ways in which the system works, reacts to the events and interrupts, schedules the system functioning in a real time, and executes by following a plan to control the latencies and to meet the deadlines. Sorry. Real-time operations means it has to work in a real time and it has to meet the time deadline. See, if you want to type a message, whenever you are typing a, if it is taking 10 minutes, 20 minutes to get that A symbol, then it is, you are not going to use a mobile phone. You will directly write a letter and you will send. Why you are using mobile phone? It is very fast and the message will be reached very faster. So it has to take a little time, and it has to meet the time deadline. You will be knowing within the 10 seconds that the message should be displayed on the screen. Whenever you are going to type a message, type A. If it is taking 1 hour, whenever after typing the A, if it is taking 20 minutes, then it is missing the deadline. Yes or no? It has to meet the deadline. And it has to control the latencies. The gap should not be there. The timing gap should not be there. It has to reduce that one. A system it should react to all the events. See, for the example of the mobile phone, whenever you are going to typing the messages, at that time call comes, what will happen? The system is going to be reacting to that call. It is going to stop working that messages using the interrupts. Scheduling the system functions in a real time. In the real time, the system is going to schedule the events. Execution executes by following plan to control the latencies and meet the deadline. Next, multi-rate operations. Different operations may take place at a distinct rates. For example, the audio, video, network data or a stream and events have the different rates and time constraints to finish the associated processes. The multi-rate, the multiple rates, the operations will be there. Next, constraints of an embedded system. The main constraints of the embedded systems are available system memory, available processor speed, a limited power dissipation when running the system. These are the three main constraints of an embedded system. See, how these are the three main constraints? Take an example of the mobile phone. If the system memory is more, then the rate of the mobile is high. And the processor speed is more, then the rate of the mobile is high. The rate is going to be rate of the embedded system is going to be depending on the system memory, processor speed and the power dissipation while running the system. Based on these things, we are going to decide the prices of the devices. So these are the main constraints of an embedded system while designing the things. Next, processor in an embedded system. What processor will be there? In the processor, it is going to have the two things. One is a program flow. Program flow and the data path control unit. It is going to include a fetch unit for fetching the instruction from the memory. It is going to include execution unit. The circuits for arithmetic and logical units. These all the components will be there in the processor. Processor is going to include the circuits for instructions for a program control task. Say a data transfer instruction, halt, interrupt or a jump to another set of instruction or a call to another routine or sleep or a reset. These are the things. Next, processor chip or a core can be one of the following. The processor, whatever the processor is there, the processor may be a microprocessor or any embedded processor, or it may be a ASIP, application specific instruction set processor, or it may be a single purpose processor as an additional processor. See, it may be a microprocessor or a micro embedded processor. It is a general purpose processor having the instruction set designed not specific to the applications like Intel Pentium processors. Next, application specific instruction set processor. That is a ASIP is a VLSI chip or a core within the processor with instruction set designed for a specific application. Here, this is an application specific instruction set. So, the instructions are going to be defined or designed for a specific applications. Example, microcontroller, DSP, digital signal processor, input output media, network or a domain specific processors. Next, single purpose processor as an additional processor. The single purpose processor examples are the coprocessors, accelerator, controller, GPP or a ASIP, application specific system processors, the multi-core processors are a multiprocessor systems. These are these all are the examples. Single purpose processor means we are going to use these processors as an additional processors. See here, the accelerators, Java code accelerator, this is going to be used as an accelerator to the system. See, for the laptop, we are going to use the graphic card. That graphic card processor is an additional processor. It is going to accelerate the speed of the system. There are the single purpose processors are additional processors. We'll start with the first one, microprocessor. The microprocessor is a single VLSI chip that has a CPU and additional units, does fast processing of instructions. VLSI means very large scale integrated chip. CPU is a unit that centrally fetches and processes a set of general purpose instruction using the processor. The microprocessor fetches and executes cycle is guided by the clock. Whenever it is going to be executing anything, that is going to be guided by the clock. The frequency of the clock was of the order of 4 megahertz in earlier generation of the processors. In new generation of the processor, now operates at a 800 megahertz to 3.2 gigahertz clock frequency. Whatever the processors are there, they are going to be working based on the clock. The clock means in terms of it is going to be in the frequencies. Frequency of the clock is going to be deciding how the processor is going to be executing. The processor also possesses the multiple cores and the threads to process the instruction. See, examples of the processors are 8086, 80x86, i3-401, OU, ARM7, ARM9, ARM11. These are all the processors examples. Next, we will go for the microcontroller. Microcontroller is an integrated chip or a core in a VLSI or a SoC. SoC means system on chip. Microcontroller, it is going to have the processor, memory and several other hardware units interfaced together. All are going to be interfaced. Many components will be there in the microcontroller. Microcontroller is a single VLSI unit which, though having limited computational capabilities capabilities and has a no number of on-chip functional units. Sorry. The microprocessor or a processor is an essential part of a computing system. A microcontroller is an essential component of the control or a communication circuit. Microcontroller is a single chip VLSI unit. It is going to have a limited computational capabilities, possesses the enhanced input-output capabilities, and it is going to have the number of on-chip functional units. In that functional units, there are two types. One is the functional units and the other one is the application-specific circuits will be added here. The examples of these microcontrollers are application-specific instruction set processors from the Intel, Atmel, Hitachi, TI, Philips and ARM. For example, an Intel MC S51, Philips 51XA, 51MX or Atmel AT89C51. These are all the examples of the microcontrollers. And some others are there. 68HC11, 68HC13 and 8051. These are the some other microcontrollers. Commonly used exemplary microcontrollers in a small scale embedded systems are here. The first one small scale are 8051 family, PIC16F8X, Hitachi at 91C51, and for the medium scale these are used. And the next large scale embedded system 32-bit microcontrollers, these are ARM family, Atmel. These are the series we are going to use. Next, this is a very important one. This is going to show the subunits of the microcontroller. The functional circuits in a chip are a core of microcontroller. Processor is there, internal RAM, timer and watchdog timer, internal flash or a ROM, external memory interfaces, interrupt controller, I/O ports, control and interfaces are drivers, serial UART communication port, serial synchronous communication ports. These all are the functional circuits in a chip. And some other application specific circuits in a specific versions are there. The DMA controller, network driver stack and interfaces, A or D converter, analog to digital, digital to analog converters, CAN controller, PWM circuit for a DA, printer controller, modem, DTMF circuits. These all are called as a application specific circuits in a specific versions. See here, processor, you know, processor may be anything, microprocessor or a microcontroller. Internal RAM memory is used for storage purpose. Here it is used for storing a temporary data because of it is a volatile one. We are going to discuss it next. Timer, it is going to provide a timing requirements of the system. Watchdog timer, it is going to reset the time after some predefined timeouts. Internal ROM, it is used for the application storage, application software storage. External memory interface, it is used for interfacing the memories to the external, for putting the data into the internal memory. Interrupt handler, to handle the interrupts. Next, I/O ports, control and interface drivers. These are used for controlling the input-output devices. Serial UART communication, for serially the data communication, the ports we are going to use that one, and the serial synchronous communication port. This is a used for communication purposes. Next is a DMA, direct memory access controller. Network, if you want to network cards, then network drivers are going to be used. The analog digital conversion is necessary, AD converter is used. CAN controller, it is a parallel serial bus used for serial communications. PWM, pulse width modulator circuit, used in the both digital to analog and analog to digital conversions. Printer controller, these are all the controllers whenever necessary we are going to add and we are going to use it in the microcontroller. Next is the other application specific instruction set processors. Other DSP, media processor, IO processor, network processor, domain specific processors. A DSP, digital signal processor, is a processor core or a chip meant for applications that process digital signals. DSP as an ASIP, application specific instruction set processor, is a single chip VLSI unit. It possesses the computational capability of a microprocessor and has a multiply and accumulate unit. That a typical Mac has a 16 into 32 Mac unit. That is a DSP. The examples of the DSP are TM32C, XX, this OMAP, this ARM9. These are having this DSP. Next is the multimedia processors, which are used for the data processing. Next, IO processors, network processor, and the domain specific processors. Next, GPP or ASIP cores. This is GPP means general purpose processors, or ASIP means application specific instruction set processors. Integrated into either an application specific integrated circuit or very large scale integrated circuit, or a FPGA, field programmable gate array core, integrated with a processor unit in a VLSI chip. Application specific system processor, typically a setup box processor, or a MPEG video processor, or a network application processor, or a mobile application processors. Single purpose processors are the floating point coprocessor, CCD, pixel coprocessor, image codec in digital camera, a graphic processor, speech processor, adaptive filtering processor. These are the names of the single purpose processor or application specific instruction set processors. Encryption engine, decryption engine, communication protocol stack processors, Java accelerators. Use of accelerator cores are wherever the importance of the particular thing is there, we are going to use this cores. Java accelerator, Nazonin. Communication Java codes run 15 to 60 times faster. If you are using this Java accelerator, it is going to be improving the execution of the Java codes. If you are using a video accelerator, then it is going to increase the fast of a video processing. So we are going to use these things as an accelerators. Multi-core processor or a multi-processor system using a GPP. These are the same. Next, we'll move to the important thing, the embedded hardware units and devices in a system. Important are memory, power source, clock oscillator and clocking units, system timer, real-time clock, reset circuit, power up reset and watchdog timer reset, input, output and IO ports, IO buses and IO interfaces, bus, analog to digital converter, digital to analog converter, LED, LCD and touch screen display, keypad, keyboard or a virtual keypad or a touch screen, interrupt handler. These all are the important components of the hardware components of an embedded system. We'll start with the one by one. First one is a memory. See, in the various forms of, in the main, we are going to discuss that memory is going to be divided into two parts, primary memory, secondary memory. Here for the embedded system, we are going to see the variety of memories, various forms of the system memory. These are the types of the memories which are going to be added into the embedded system. Internal RAM at a microcontroller, RAM at a system on chip or external RAM, internal cache memories at a processors, external RAM chip, flash or a EEPROM, ROM or a PROM, memory addresses at a system ports. These are all the variety of memories will be present in the embedded system. One by one we will see. The functions assigned to a ROM or a EPROM or a flash. Storing application program from where the processor fetches the instruction codes. Storing codes for the system booting, initializing initial input data and strings, storing codes for RTOS, storing pointers for various service routines. For these things we are going to use the ROM. Basically the ROM is used for application program and RTOS codes. The functions assigned to the internal, external and buffer RAM, storing the variables during the program run. See, while running the program, many temporary variables will be generated. Those variables will be stored in the internal or external buffer RAM. And stack is also going to be generated. That stack in data will be stored on the RAM. Storing the input or output buffer for example, for speech or image, those things are going to be stored in RAM. Next, functions assigned to the EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable ROM or a flash. Storing a non-volatile results of processing will be stored here because it cannot be erased directly. Electrically programmable ROM is there. You can erase the data from this EEPROM and you can rewrite the data on this EEPROM. So, a non-volatile temporary result will be stored here. Whenever you want, you can electrically erase those things and reprogram that one. This is the EEPROM or a flash. Functions assigned to the cache during a fast processing. Storing copies of the instructions, data and branch transfer instruction in advance from external memories. Storing a temporary and results in write back cache. For storing these things, we are going to use this cache memory. Next is a power source. Power source is a system-owned power supply. Supply from the system to which the embedded system interfaces, for example, in a network card and other thing. Supply using a charge pump. You can use the charge pump for the supply purposes. Whenever the little charge is necessary, take an example of the smart card, a little charge is necessary. For those things, we are going to use a charge pump. Next, clock oscillator circuit and the clocking units. The clock oscillator circuit. What exactly will happen here in this is the clock controls the time for execution of an instruction. Frequency depends on the processor circuit execution rate. So this clock oscillator circuit and clocking circuits are very important. Here appropriate clock oscillator circuit will be added here in the embedded system. A real-time clock will be there, the system clock and the timer, driving hardware and the softwares will be there. Next, a system timer means a timer circuit is suitably configured and functions as a system clock. The system clock ticks and generates the system interrupts periodically. The system clock interrupts enables execution of the system supervisory functions in the OS at the periodic intervals. The system clock ticks can be 60 times in a 1 second. Like that the system timer will be working. Next, reset circuit, power up reset and watchdog timer. A circuit for reset enables restart of the system from the beginning to the end, and it is going to switches the cycles. The reset can also be performed by using an instructions to the processor. Next, power up reset. That circuit enables restart of the system from beginning whenever power is switched on. Power is switched on, then it is going to start from the beginning. Watchdog timer. It is going to enable restart of the system when it is struck up in certain set of instructions for a period more than a preset time interval. For that one, we are going to use this watchdog timer. Watchdog timer means it is going to reset on timeout. That is a watchdog timer. The input, output and I/O ports, I/O buses and the I/O interfaces. The system gets input from the physical devices through the input ports. How exactly? Through the, input devices. Then the processor identifies each input port by its memory buffer addresses called the port addresses. Just as a memory location holding a byte or a word is identified by an address, each input port is also identified by the addresses. See, through the addresses they are going to be identified and they are going to be accessed. The system gets the input by the read operations at the port addresses. System has an output port through which it sends the output byte to the real world. Each output port is identified by its memory buffer addresses called the port addresses. The system sends the output by a write operation to the port addresses. Like this, the reading and writing will be done. Whenever the data is going to be, input device is going to be working, it is going to take the data. Whenever it is want to send, then it is going to write the data to the system. Next is the bus. Here the bus consists of a common set of lines to interconnect the multiple devices, hardware units and systems. It enables the communication between two units at any given instance. The remaining units remain in a unconnected state during the communication between these two. See, many lines will be there in the bus. Only few lines are going to be used for the data communication between the two devices. Some others are used for signaling purpose. The bus communication protocol specifies the way of communication of a signal on the bus. At an instant, a bus may be a serial bus or it may be a parallel bus, transferring one bit or multiple data bits respectively. The protocol also specifies way of arbitration when several devices need to communicate through the bus. All of you got to know what is bus? Bus is nothing but it is used for the communication. It is like a cable. Here multiple lines will be there. Through that line it will be communicating to each other. Next is a DAC, digital to analog converter. It is a circuit that converts a digital 8 or 10 or 12 bits to analog output. A DAC operation is done when the help of a combination of the pulse width modulator unit in a microcontroller and an external integrated chip. Using the pulse width modulator, the DAC is going to be converting the digital to analog signals. It is going to convert the digital 8, 10 or 12 bits to the analog output. Next, ADC, analog to digital. It is a circuit that converts the analog input to the digital. The output will be 4, 8, 10 or 12 bits from an ADC. Analog output is applied between plus and the minus pins. ADC circuit converts into the bits. That is the ADC. Next, LED, LCD and touch screen displays. LED is used for indicating on status of the system. A flashing LED may indicate that a specific task is under completion or is running. It may indicate a wait state for a message. For those things, a LED will be used. The display may show the status or a message. If multiple LEDs will be together, then it is going to show the messages also. A display may be a line display or a multi-line display or a flashing display. Many things will be there here, displays. And LIS, a lower scale integrated circuit, is used as a display controller in case of the LCD matrix display. LCD is a matrix display. Touchscreen is an input as well as an output device which is used by the user of the system to enter a command, choose a menu or to give user reply as an input. Everyone know about the touch screen, how exactly it works. It is going to, whenever you are going to press on the particular portion, then it is going to be working according to that one. It is an input as well as an output. You can work by your finger or it may be used with a stylus. It is a thin pen like shaped one object. Next, interrupt handler. Here, a system is going to have the many interrupts. A system processor controls and handles the requirements of each device by running an appropriate interrupt service routines for each interrupt events. See, what is the use of interrupts means? Whenever any system stuck, through the interrupts only the system is going to be recovered by itself. If any event is waiting for, see, whenever you are going to put the ATM card, if it is waiting for a long time, then it will be a waste of time. So what the system will be doing is, it will wait for a predefined some times. Within that time, it is, if it is the bank is replying, then it's okay. If it is bank is not responding, what it is going to do, it is going to call a interrupt service routine. Then it is going to block the executing in that process and it is going to serve the interrupt service routine. Then it is going to stop that one. Once again it is going to restart the system. The interrupt handler element for the external port interrupts, IO interrupts, timer and RTC interrupts, software interrupts and exception. For these are the interrupts handlers. We'll stop this one here only. In the next section, we'll discuss remaining. Thank you.